Okay, welcome everybody. So if you are now accessing this online course, that means you took an intro, you got a coupon code. Either you have a business account, so maybe you saw me live in your workplace, or maybe you took a online live webinar and you got a personal coupon code. And the reason why I do that is I've noticed that if people don't know how to really absorb the mental imagery in their mind and then experience a corresponding emotional reaction, as we discussed, then they really can't just access the online class as it is. So therefore, if you have any friends that want to do this, don't give them the coupon code. Kind of send them to the website where they can get the video class and sign up for a live intro. Or at your place of work, we can organize another one. And now that you've come to this online course, we're going to recreate that step one, feeling you as you are, standing alone to yourself. There's going to be a slight difference. One difference is it's not an intro. I'm not as much of a rush. So we're going to develop some of the concepts of Kabbalah and go a little bit deeper. Another aspect is the exercises. The goal is to absorb the mental imagery, but not just absorb it passively from the online course, but then to actively be able to recreate your own mental imagery, recreate step one on your own in the comfort of your own home by using a script, a script of the mental imagery, where bullet points, bullet point kind of meditations that you create your own mental imagery in your own mind, and they're conjuring up those feelings of living in the moment. That will be discussed on how to do in the next video. In the video that will teach you the exercise. So now, before we actually continue, you have the intro, so you understand about living the moment, living in life devoid of stress or anxiety, but just focusing in the moment at hand, as if this moment just exists just as it is, standing alone to itself, which is nothing else but the moment, and then the past is long gone, future is yet to be. You're in this oasis in time. That was just a short rendition of steps 1, 2, and 3, as each step will work together to go to a future point in mental imagery. And of course, it's going to be mental imagery, not visual imagery, so we're not going to look at the screen. And to help you, I'm going to actually cover the screen so that when I actually do the mental imagery, you won't see my face. There will be no visual impetus, and then you should just stare blankly and allow yourself to absorb the mental image. Block out all distractions. Your cell phone, shut off, put on silent, flip upside down so you don't see incoming texts. Knock out all tabs so you don't get any updates or you're curious what's going on. If you do not multitask, you can just allow yourself to absorb that mental imagery. And again, not only is this not visual imagery, it's also not based on breathing exercises. We're not going to be sitting in a lotus position. We're not going to be breathing in and out. There is one part, if you remember, where we do breathe in and out deeply, but it's not a meditation. It's a relaxation exercise just to help us clear our mind. So we're going to do that one again. And other than that, once we finish the mental imagery, I'm going to let you sit for about 30, 40 seconds, maybe 60 seconds, a minute, savoring the taste of that living the moment feeling. I'm going to reveal the webcam and then just kind of conclude. Okay, so without further ado, good luck. Again, this approach is based on understanding how the world does not exist on its own right, but rather is being propelled into existence by a force that's propelling the world to be. Kabbalah likens this force to the force of a throw that propels a rock on high. Envision a rock on the ground. Envision a rock in its initial state of inertia. It would never fly on high. In order to get that rock out of its initial state of inertia to fly on high, there had to be the external force of a throw that took the rock out of its initial state of inertia on the ground and propelled it into the sky. Same thing with our world. Our world did not always exist. It also had an initial state of inertia, a state of non-existence. In order to get the world out of its state of non-existence, into existence, there had to be the external force, a creative force that propelled that world to be. In order to imagine this, let us imagine what was before the world. Let us imagine what scientists like to describe as before a Big Bang. And you would imagine an absolute state of nothingness, a state in which there's no up and there's no down, there's no right, no left, no you, no me, nothing. According to Kabbalah, in that absolute state of nothingness was an ever-pervading, infinitely expansive, all-encompassing emanation of God. And this, that there was no up and there's no down, there's no right, no left, was because all was one. Now let us consider our world. Our world, there's a real up, there's a real down, there's a real right, there's a real left. There are people, places, things. Nothing seems as though it's one. And because of that, our lives seem like it's a conglomerate of isolated fragments that we're forever trying to bring into some kind of sync. To the degree that they come together in sync, we say life is good. To the degree they don't, we say life is difficult. And we have to wonder, what happened to that pre-world sense of oneness? Did this world displace that sense of oneness? Much like a rock that falls into water displaces the water around? On the one hand, you'd like to say yes, for we don't experience that oneness. But the other hand, we have to say no. For according to Kabbalah, we're talking about the oneness of God. And God is a constant whether there's a world or whether there's not. So the question is, how can we reconcile this? Kabbalah reconciles this by focusing on the definition of an essence. For according to Kabbalah, an essence is something that just is, standing alone unto itself. And on the level of the essence, there's nothing else but the essence. Therefore, the essence is unfathomable to the human mind. For as soon as you picture it, it's not the essence, but rather your own vision of the essence, an aspect of the essence that's being manifest into your mind, that allows itself to be a picture of the essence. But the essence that just is, standing alone to itself, is beyond us. Kabbalah uses the Hebrew word for essence as etzem, E-T-Z-E-M, etzem, and thus conjugates etzem into the word atzmus, referring to the true essence of God. For on the level of atzmus, that's where God just is, standing alone to himself. And the level of atzmus, there's nothing else but him. Before the world was created, atzmus was being manifest spiritually as an ever-pervading, infinitely expansive, all-inclusive emanation in which there's no up, there's no down, there's no right, no left, for all was one. After the world was created, atzmus is still emanating, but no longer emanating spiritually, but rather now atzmus is emanating physically, in the very physicality of the world, as a godly force is propelling everything to be. Should you tap into this godly force, then everything that's up and everything that's down, everything that's right, everything that's left, people, places, things, will all become one. And then all the isolated fragments of your life will come together as one, and all success will happen. In order to tap into this force, you'd have to tap into the essence, your own essence, where you exist just as you are, standing alone to yourself, in which there's nothing else but you. But before we could tap into your essence, we are talking about the essence of your existence. So therefore, we must acknowledge your own sense of existence. But the way you exist in so many different ways. You manifest yourself and wear so many different hats. Some are parents to children. Some are children to parents. Some are teachers. Some are students. Some manifest their existence as a brother or a sister, a roommate, a co-worker. There's so many different ways that we connect to our own sense of existence. But yet, what we want to do is focus on how you exist right now. Not how you existed earlier today, and not how you exist later, but only as you exist now. In order to do that, you'd have to clear your mind and not think of whatever came before. And you'd have to clear your heart from any expectations of the future. In order to help you do that, let us engage in a simple relaxation exercise in which we all breathe in deeply and you breathe out. And breathe in deeply and you breathe out. And you breathe out all the tensions that life has its hold on you. And you breathe in. Deeply. And you breathe out. And you allow yourself to let down your guard and settle into the chair. And purposely become aware of the weight of your back as it's leaned into the back of the chair. And become aware of the way your body is settled into the seat of the chair. And feel how heavy your legs have become against the floor. And feel as if you're nothing but a living, breathing entity in time and space. Now become aware of the parameters of that entity of yours. Notice that where your back stops, the back of a chair begins. Notice that beneath the weight of your body, the seat of the chair begins. And notice how beneath the weight of your feet is the floor. You're not the only entity in time and space. The chair also exists as a non-living, non-breathing entity in time and space. The floor also exists as a non-living, non-breathing entity in time and space. And before you is a table or a desk that also exists as a non-living, non-breathing entity in time and space. And the walls also exist. And you feel a present sense of your own being, a sense of being present. Now let's go deeper. Let's go to the very essence of that being of yours. An essence where you exist just as you are, standing alone unto yourself, in which there's nothing else but you, as it expresses and reflects the essence of God, Atmas, as He exists just as He is, standing alone to Himself, in which is nothing else but Him. In order to get there, kindly stare at some blank point in front of you, and just imagine as if you had the ability to suspend the power of sight. Imagine as if you couldn't see. Not that your eyes were closed and you could see the reflection of light through your eyelids, but rather imagine as if you couldn't see a thing and that all went black. Now imagine as if you had the ability to suspend the power of hearing. And imagine as if you couldn't hear and that everything went silent. Imagine a silence so thick that you couldn't even hear yourself swallow. Now imagine as if you had the ability to suspend the power of touch. Imagine as if you couldn't feel a thing. Imagine that you no longer felt the weight of your back as it's leaned into the back of the chair. Imagine as if you no longer felt the weight of your body as it settled into the seat of the chair. Imagine that you no longer felt the weight of your feet on the ground. Imagine as if everything was going light. Imagine as if your feet were picking themselves up off the ground. Imagine as if your back was pulling itself off the back of the chair. Imagine as if your entire body was levitating itself up off the seat of the chair. Now consider. You can't see. It's black. You can't hear. It's silent. And you don't feel a thing. What would you be left with? Nothing but an awareness that you are. Now consider that chair. That chair can't see. That chair can't hear. The chair can't touch. It just is. And the floor can't see. The floor can't hear. And the floor can't touch. It just is. And that desk or table before you just is. And the walls just are. And you start to wonder, what's the difference between you and the chair? You just are, and the chair just is. And what's the difference between you and the floor? You just are, and the floor just is. What's the difference between the desk and the walls? The desk just is, and the walls just are. And you start to feel that it's not you, or a chair, or a floor, or a desk. For everything just is, as one. Like before creation, in which there's no up, there's no down, there's no right, no left, for all was one. But now you have to think, is it really all one? I mean, you know you're you. You know you exist as you. And that's when you get a feeling that there's a godly force propelling you to be you. A force is propelling the chair to be a chair. A godly force is propelling the floor to be a floor. The desk to be a desk. The walls to be walls. A godly force is propelling this present moment to be the present moment. And that's when you exist just as you are, standing alone to yourself, engulfed in a godly force is propelling you to be you. And there's nothing else. Okay. Sorry to break your mental image of that, but this is only step one. And step one, the whole goal is just to create that feeling of you as you are, standing alone to yourself, which is nothing else but you. For that will anchor you into the moment just as it is, standing alone to itself, in which is nothing else but the moment. And why do we have all these other steps? Because the goal is to build on that, to bring that feeling into everything you do. So you don't just have to sit here in your chair in a meditative state, but to experience that in everything you do. And for that, we need a 6-step process, a final conclusion, a plenary session that will take 8 steps, 8 weeks of classes. Now, to make sure this mental image is engraved in your mind, you could do it yourself. we have exercises. So in order to allow you to be able to see a class, do the exercises, each class is spread out 1 week apart, such that you cannot access the second class for a whole week. Why? So you should do the exercises. And then, as those exercises are engraved in your mind, then you do step 2, and step 2 becomes a cumulative experience, in which step 1 culminates into step 2. And step 3, further cumulative experience, in which step 1 culminates in step 2, culminates in step 3. Why? Because the analogy is like a hand in a glove, being placed in a glove, and then you grasp the world in a different way. We're taking your mind and enclothing it in a mental image of step 1, that then becomes enclosed in another image, step 2, through step 3, until you see the world from a different perspective. In order to do that, you have to do the exercises to the best of your ability. There's going to be a video right after this that'll teach you how to do the exercise for step 1, and you'll have bullet points, and you'll recreate the mental image on your own, and then you go to step 2. So good luck, and we'll see you.